Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. Labor advocates are making a last-minute push in Albany to pass a bill that they say will hold corrupt employers accountable for labor law violations and increase enforcement around wage theft. This bill has a long name. It's the Empowering People in Rights Enforcement Worker Protection Act. So it has an acronym known as the Empire Act. Joining us to explain why this legislation is critical is Josh Pomerantz. He's the Director of Operations from Teamsters Local 804. Good to see you, Josh. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your union and what you're involved in.
I'm the Director of Operations for Local 804 with the Teamsters. We represent all of the UPS workers in New York City, Long Island, and Westchester. We have 8,000 members. We are also on the forefront of organizing Amazon. We have organized the members at the DBK4 facility in Queens, although Amazon is currently refusing to bargain with us.
All right. So, when I think of wage theft, I guess I don't think of UPS or Amazon. Maybe I should. How serious of a problem is it?
So sadly, unionized employers do commit wage theft. But in addition to the Empire Act addressing wage theft, it also will address health and safety violations, which are enforced by the Department of Labor, or at least they're supposed to be. And we have a real enforcement crisis in New York State, both for wage theft and health and safety violations. So the Empire Act is going to address both of those. Yes, wage theft is way worse when you don't have a union behind you fighting for it. But wage theft still occurs, and it's something that we need to chase, and there's going to be bigger penalties if it's done through the state than a collective bargaining agreement. We also mentioned Amazon, who is someone we're trying to organize. They still do need to go to the state when Amazon steals from their employees.
So how does that work? I mean, I make a wage, I get a paycheck, I actually get it deposited right into my bank every couple of weeks. How do they steal wages from workers? How does that work?
So there's going to be a number of ways it's done. One of the common ways it's done is not paying proper overtime. Another way it's going to be done is shaving hours, where it just doesn't, when someone's paid an hourly rate, if the amount of hours they're paid does not match the hours they actually worked. Unscrupulous employers will also play games with what is considered work and non-work time, so that the law has to go after it. Then when you think about truly vulnerable workers, whether it's people who are in the restaurant industry, whether it's people in the construction industry, commercial cleaning industry, people who might have issues with their documentary status, those employers openly steal. Essentially, they might pay less than minimum wage. They will not pay for all hours. They will just not give you that paycheck that you are supposed to get. And then in the current climate, and we've seen it with Amazon on Staten Island, they'll call ICE on their own employees who will raise their head and say that their employer is violating the law. So we're in a really precarious situation in the state right now.
So my understanding is, as you mentioned, that the problem in New York is that there hasn't been adequate enforcement, and there isn't adequate enforcement capacity, that employers steal wages, and that the expectation is that they won't be caught or they won't be penalized. How has that manifested itself in New York?
So currently, the estimates are there are about $3 billion in stolen wages every year in New York State. That's the estimate. And it might be lower. That might be a low end estimate in terms of how it's done, because these employers know that they can get away with it. It is wage theft it's worked into their numbers. It's part of their overall plan.
It's part of their business plan, so this is by design.
That is what we believe, and because it goes so unenforced, they're able to get away with it. And those businesses that are trying to follow the law, those small businesses that are trying to do right by their employees and their communities, are the ones who aren't able to compete with these employers who are willing to violate the law. It's unfair for the businesses that are trying to do things right, and these unscrupulous employers are really ripping off the constituents
Sure.
of New York State.
I want to get to the folks who are lobbying against this bill in a minute and get your response to them. But first, can you explain exactly how the bill would work to solve this problem? Because it's an enforcement problem.
Correct. The laws in New York State, we have great laws on the books. The problem is we simply do not have enough people within the DOL to investigate it. I believe we have approximately 146 investigators for the entire state. We have very few Spanish language speakers. We have no speakers of Haitian Creole. So if there is a worker who is having wage theft committed against them and their only spoken language is Haitian Creole, there's nowhere for them to go. So, and the current wait, if you file a claim, it could take up to 2 to 3 years to even begin the
So what's the
investigation.
fix here?
So the fix is, the way the Empire Act works, is a person files a claim with the DOL the same way they normally would. I'm having my wages stolen, fill it out. But there are 60 days that the DOL will have to take up the claim. If they do not, then that worker will have the ability to pursue that claim on behalf of the state. So they can use a private attorney to act as the state. This is not a private right of action. This is it's actually more public in some ways than the forced arbitration situation we're in many ways. So it's a public action on behalf of the state. What's really great about this is a number of things. It opens up, it's not just the affected worker that needs to file a loan. A labor union or a group of workers can actually be the named plaintiff and basically take this on for their workplace.
Does the union, does the worker that's affected need to be a member of a union?
No, they do not. So what it can be is that a union who is obviously trying to organize that workplace can be the one who's the named plaintiff and then also protect those employees from retaliation. Because now the employee who filed it does not have to have their name on it. So now the employer cannot just go after that worker and either fire them, or if they have documentary issues, try to have them deported or other ways.
Got it. I know that there's more here, but we're running out of time, and I need to ask you, Josh, there's pushback on this bill from at least one 501c4 advocacy group called Restore Sanity NYC, which is linked to some businesses like McDonald's and the Restaurant Association. They are worried about increased costs. What would you like to say to them?
That they should pay the minimum wage rates that are there. They should pay overtime. And if they're not violating the law, they have nothing to worry about. They know they're violating the law. They know that they're getting away with it now, and that's why they're pushing back on this.
Where is the bill right now, and what are its chances of passage before the end of session?
We have a majority of co-sponsors in both houses. I believe we have 34 in the Senate and 68 in the Assembly. And that's co-sponsors. So if this gets to the floor, it's going to pass. We just need it. We need Albany to recognize that the crisis is here. It is now. Now is the time to pass this. We know what's going on the federal level, and it's just going to get worse. So the New York State needs to step up and do what's right by the people of the state. We've
been discussing a worker protection bill. It's called the Empire Act with Josh Pomerantz. He's director of operations for Teamsters Local 804. Josh, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.